Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside. Let's get everything up on the screen here. And welcome to another edition of Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the second day of March 2020. Well, good Lord, what's happening here? I've got to tie my shawl on here, otherwise it falls everywhere. Anyway, I was just out and about. I had to go to the post office. They're supposed to deliver packages to a box up at the top of my property. They did not do so, so I had to brave the world and go pick up a package. So anyway, I'm back in one piece, and so here we go for another Monday. Let's see. I did the astrology for 10 o'clock, and it's about quarter till now. So apologies for that, but I did it before we went up to the post office, and I thought, well, I'll probably get back in time to do this at 10, but it's a little before that. So in any event, Mercury retrograde's in effect for another week. So be aware of that. Expect delays and confused messaging and stuff like that. Juno's in retrograde too. Juno's in Libra right now. So we're talking partnership issues and harmony. Juno is about partnership and marriage, and so realistically, we need to maybe reevaluate what's going on there. Are we really aligning with what we truly need, or are we just taking, whatever we can get kind of thing? And so when Juno goes retrograde, it's nice to just sort of reevaluate and take stock of, how you're progressing in your relationships with others, and, whether or not you're engaging with people that align with who you really are. When it's in Libra, we're wanting somebody that's more socially aware. So if you've got somebody that is just socially inept and all of that in your life, I don't know. Either find a way to simply accept that or move on. I don't know. I'm not sure what choice you really have. When you think about it, I really don't know what choice you have. Anyway, but the overall theme right now is just to observe how we interact or connect with others and all of that. But observe right now, anytime, retrograde is in effect, irrespective of what planetary body is involved, it's really about loosening of perceptions and just maybe rethinking things. So the moon's in the first house of Gemini right now. Self-expression may be affected. Gemini is real chatty. But Gemini can also be superficial, very transactional in their relationships with others. So you might not, there's a square between the moon and the sun. So there is some tension today. We need to try to balance will with emotion, and that can be difficult. The will is not always as tolerant of emotional stuff. And so if that's the case, just if that kind of tension's arising today, just sort of let it go. Just let it pass, observe it, try not to react to it. Square with Venus also, love life may be tense. Again, let the energy flow past the moment. Try not to engage so much today. If things get to be a little dicey for you, it could just simply be the day and where the energy is. And again, energy is in sine waves, so what goes up is going to come down and go back up and go. You get the idea. So let it pass. It'll be better in a little bit. It's like around here on the high desert. If you just wait a few minutes, the snow will pass and you'll have 70-degree weather or 90-degree weather even. I swear to God, July, it's like that. You could have anywhere from hail to snow to blistering heat to ground striking lightning, although that doesn't often happen until August, but it can happen in July. You can have everything in sight of a day here. It can be nutty. Gardening is not for the faint of heart. We're putting up, we got a cover for our hoop greenhouse. We decided not to, and then we decided to do it and to replace it, and we've been going without it and just using a netting over it. And having a living cover, basically. And so we can still do that. We're putting the cover back on. So we bought one, So again, gardening's not for the faint of heart around here. I don't want to have to deal with my beans frosting, so, and having to freak out about it all the time. So I'm going to grow them in there with my strawberries like I did before, but this time it's just going to have a cover on it. Anyway, Sun's in the 11th house in Pisces, time for self-reflection and a spiritual focus. Again, surrounding relationships. Relationships are really in focus right now. A lot of change on that front. Maybe relationships were not as maybe they're just temporary, driven by the moment or something. And now you're realizing, okay, this is not really, I'm not really into this anymore, so I'm going to go do something else. But a semi-square with the Sun and Venus, again, still from last week as well, we're feeling unsupported by others toward achieving goals. But the thing is we don't want to assume that maybe what we're doing is realistic. So first, before you get all upset with everybody else for not being supportive, check in and make sure that what it is you're wanting to do is realistic. Maybe there's some tweaking that you can do that might make others, come on board at that point. Sun semi-square Saturn, obstacles everywhere. It seems like we're getting nowhere. Again, determine whether or not this is something you actually need to deal with, or if you can just let this time pass. And ask yourself, are you interfering with your own progress today? It's easy to blame other people for what's going on, but you have to look inward first. And then if you're sure that it's not you, double check and then move on and try to figure, if it's somebody else, so it's interfering with it. Mercury, 10th house Pisces, again, intuition, and inward focus is warranted, but especially because of retrograde, but changes in career could be happening, or changes on the career front could be happening. Either one, changes you're going to have to contend with, or changes involving you specifically. Maybe you're going to get an advancement. We've been talking a lot about that lately too. Let's see, Venus, 12th house Aries, conflict. Oh, Venus and Aries, isn't it? They're opposites. Well, Libra and Aries are opposites, and so you think Libra and Venus together, and so Venus and Aries is kind of opposite energies there. So conflict between partnership and the need for independence. So you're going to have to figure that one out. Today, a square with Saturn, again, reassess relationships with a practical sense about you. Again, are you being realistic in the things that you're doing, or the expectations you have of others, or what have you? Maybe this is a time to just let those things go and start anew. Let the bonds loosen, let the bonds of perception loosen again and start anew. Mars, 8th house Capricorn, ambition is strong. Again, 8th house is about joint endeavors. It's also about sexual relationships. So make sure everything's copacetic on that front. Jupiter, 9th house Capricorn, focuses on knowledge and broadening horizons. But with the Capricorn involvement, you're going to want to make careful plans for the future. So again, that practical sense is coming in today. Saturn, 9th house Capricorn, reassessment of relationship values. Again, relationships may change or end during this period. Uranus is now 12th house Taurus. You need to be open to change and new experiences. Break free from old patterns, though. Profound change is coming, folks. We're in a 22 year. We've had a lot of 11 and 22 gateways just so far, the first 2 months of the year. So we're seeing a lot of that, the soul level type of manifestation happen here throughout. That's what we're going to be seeing throughout the year. Now, not as strong in effect right now, but the semi-square between Uranus and Neptune is still in effect, even though it's a medium influence now. But we have been being deceived for so long now. It's the whole notion of guard against the underlying deception that's at work. We're being conned, and we all know that, okay? Well, most of us do anyway. We're being conned, and right now, especially with coronavirus increasing, we don't know what that's going to look like. Some are saying that we might do okay right now with it, but come fall, that's when we might see the real devastation. But again, it doesn't mean that people aren't we need to be careful right now, okay? And so we're having, when you have the government telling us, yeah, don't worry, and the epidemiologist saying, yeah, you need to take precautions, we've got a problem. We're being deceived. You got to ask yourself why. It's to preserve what they want, right? But to do this with our health, are you kidding? Makes no sense. Well, in their world, it does. But here you have also Uranus trying the South Node still. Change happens easily now. New directions can be taken. But the idea is that our true purpose needs to be revealed now. And we need to align with that and move forward, reject the nonsense of the past and move forward into something that's a higher frequency of experience, one that's love-based instead of, deception and control and all of that type of foundation for that. Neptune, 11th house Pisces, inner focus again. Pisces is an inner focus. 11th house is relationships. But you need to, friendships and relationships are going to take on a spiritual, maybe focus right now. And are your friendships and relationships nourishing you in that regard? Are they nourishing you spiritually? Are they nourishing the spirit within? Or are they more ego-based? And that's what I'm talking about. I think that we're going to see a profound change this year away from the ego-based reactionary process we're all involved in and moving to a more spirit-controlled, spirit-focused, spirit-informed way of perceiving and interacting with others. Again, Chiron, 11th house Aries, time for healing. It might not be easy. Woundings are felt. Past acquaintances could re-enter your life here today. Pay attention to the message that they might have. The square with the north and south node, although not really on the north, I don't think, just on the south right now, or maybe they both are. One of them changed, though, I don't remember. I didn't fix it here. So anyway, life is changing right now, and you need to reflect on past relationships, face your fears, and move toward something that is more purpose-oriented, shared purpose-oriented. There's a sextile with the ascendant between Chiron and the ascendant. The ascendant right now is in Gemini. This is telling us that we need to reestablish new relationships with others. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the people will change, although they could. It's just the way that we perceive those relationships need to change and need to come into a new level of harmony and trust and shared purpose. We need to be seeking peace with all right now. We need to come together, especially if the worst happens and this virus goes nutty and it starts taking people out. This could be a very difficult time for people. This is not the time to allow the guy in the Oval Office to disrupt all of this and to disrupt the message and to disrupt how we interact with one another. We need to come together now in one shared common purpose to get through what's happening right now and then prepare in case it comes around again in the fall. Right? We don't need to be at odds with one another. We need to be working in shared purpose now. So that, I think, really has been the message of the readings of the last few months, and it's also been the message of the astrology. So that's why I've been taking extra time every day to talk about this. I think that there is an energetic momentum right now. We can see this in the cards, we can see it in the runes, and we can see it in the astrology. So if we act with purpose, if we allow spirit to inform the choices and perception, then I think that we can really make something of this year, this 22, cosmic builder year that we're in. So things up on the blog. Oh my Lord, I wrote and wrote and wrote. So the monthly tarot is up, the monthly geomancy is up, the weekly rune and moon is up. The correspondences are not yet up because I had to go to the post office this morning. We had to put a fence up between us and our other neighbors. We did this, I think, in, 2014 or 2015. So this is 2020. So this has been in place for about 5 years. It reduced the ability for anybody to come down my driveway, which is fine. We keep our gate locked, but we have a little gate right next to it that's just bungeed, and that's for freight, right? It has a little card on it that says freight. They all know. I told them, I went and talked to everybody. I said, what do I do? This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And they're like, yeah, do it. Go do that. There's a lock up there for the box. So They're supposed to put everything in there, but they didn't. Because what I was waiting for was that. So I hastily put it up. I see I need to move the hermit over a little bit, though. But this used to be my cannabis grow room. It was my oldest son's bedroom at one point, but now it was my grow room when I was ill, and now it's my still room. I took it. I just took it away. So the other room is also a grow room, and so that's where we start all of our seedlings, and we start our cannabis plants in there too. But right now we're starting tomatoes and peppers, and this week I'm going to go ahead and start some more herbs and other things. I got some more seeds that came, and I've got some things I need to start. So, but I turned this room into my still room so I can work and do herbal stuff, and I also have a place in the kitchen where I do some of the messier stuff. But I can do a lot of stuff in here, and this is where I'm doing the readings now. So I'm still decorating. It's still a work in progress. But I saw that and I thought, oh my God, I have to have that. That's the star. So it says that you can't see it down below, but it says that. But anyway, let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards and see what we have for today. If this is your first time here, welcome. I take the 13th card each time for randomness sake. I don't want to do my readings, normal readings, like the monthly tarot. I don't. I just laid out 6 cards. Here we have the Page of Pentacles. So we're going to start with the earth element and security or material concerns or practical matters or, again, careers in focus. So it could have something to do with that. Pages are about messages and undeveloped potential. So there could be something developing on the home front. But let's see what the other cards have to say, and then we'll decide if we have to take a 4th one. Page of Cups. Yeah, I'm probably going to have. We had him last week. So emotions, new emotions, undeveloped potential for new emotions, new harmony. Oh, well, the 2 of Swords. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the 2 in the center, I think, and I don't know yet if we're going to take a 4th card, but let's put the 2 in the center and begin with her. So we have a 2 energy for the reading because they don't assign, if they did. So this is actually interesting. Okay. So if they did, they'd be the 11th card of the major arcana. And this is what you'd have today. That's the pattern you'd have. So 11, the number 11 is the master number for illumination, half the size of the 22. But we need to illuminate, but there needs to be a decision made involving the material side of life or security and emotions. And so you could say then basically, where are we going to derive our security today? Are we going to, or emotional security maybe? But let's talk about it. So here we have a crescent moon in the sky. It's the maiden phase. If it was turned the other way, it'd be the crone, the crone side of things. We see the water in the background. It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's smooth, but it's not, not really choppy either. You see the land in the background there. You see some rocks coming up out of the water. She's seated with her back to it, though. You see a demarcation line between the water and between where she is. So she's turned her back on something that's going on. And she's having to make a decision. She's doing it dispassionately. Swords is the air element, so it can mean decisions, it can mean communication, reason, balance, justice, fairness. But she's blindfolded. And she's trying to achieve an inner balance here to try to determine, what do I do now? Which way do I go? Um, when you look at I want to say it this way. When you look at the pages, you're looking at undeveloped potential. So we have the undeveloped potential of something new on the home front with the Page of Pentacles, right? I mean, basically, he's studious and he takes a spiritual focus. And then the Page of Cups. Now, the Page of Cups is going to take an emotional focus or intuitive. I think we need another card. Because we're dealing with something that's reliable, or somebody that's reliable, and somebody that's dreamy. So you could say then that the focus could be, are we going to focus today on the practical side of self or the emotional side of self? But we also know that we need to bring will in balance with emotions with respect to the astrology today, don't we? Let's do a fourth card. Well, now we have a 5 energy total here for today. Again, we have been talking a lot about career advancement, either getting a new job entirely, or maybe moving up in the job that you're in to maybe a supervisory position. That's been happening since, I don't know, the end of December, I think. We started to see some of that in the astrology. Also, with the cards, though, it's remained that way. We see a lot of 10th house stuff going on. A lot of stuff has been in most things have been in the fourth quadrant. And so we're talking the 10th, 11th, the 12th houses. So, the 10th house is about career and status, how you're perceived out there in the world. And so, the idea if you're trying to get another position or something, or to advance or whatever, you're trying to get a new job, then you want to put your best foot forward. We've seen a lot of that energy as well. Also, the energy to understand that when you do get that promotion, that now the people that you were once on equal footing with, you no longer are. And so you have to be a little bit careful how you transition through that. Yes, you're the boss now, but they were once just your coworkers. And so you have to figure out a way to approach them and to ease them into that transition, that they need to see you differently and that it doesn't backfire, because you know that it can, right? I mean, we've all seen it. So where someone, they let it go to their head and they get real authoritarian and they don't stop to think that really nothing has changed. Not really. And so the what has been working really well needs to continue doing so. And you being the new person on the block or in the new position shouldn't be there to derail any of it, right? And that can happen. So as we start looking at how we relate to others here with the 3 of Pentacles, we're talking about a craftsman working his trade. Having everything be in a sort of a mind, body, spirit alignment, if you will. We see the women who come by, they're admiring what he's doing. Maybe they're going to hire him. So there's the element of income potential with this as well. But here, he's in alignment with his true purpose, and that's another thing that we talked about today with the with Chiron and all of that. Also Neptune, discovering what truly supports you. And is it being well prepared for the future? Is that truly what supports you? Is it keeping a harmonious relationship with other people? Is that what truly supports you? Because it seems like those are the 2 things that are coming through all of the time right now. I'm going to do a 5th card. I did this a couple of weeks ago. It was the first time. Usually I'll stop with 4. But I feel like we need to have a little bit more, uh, it could be that the 3 is going to inform the Page of Pentacles, given that they're both Pentacles. And so something new on the home front could be, again, a new career, a new position. And you have to make a decision about that. You have to decide which is the best path forward. Let's see if we can get something on the Page of Cups. Well, just the King of Swords. Again, if it is a new position, I feel like this is on the job front. I really do. The King of Swords, if they're going to inform the Page of Cups, then we want to keep head and heart in balance. And I think that that's really all that the King is saying here to the Page of Cups, that, how you interact with people creates an emotional response, right? People are either happy with you or they're not, And be aware that emotions can derail, in other words, are you going to take a more practical Capricorn type of approach, or are you going to be a little more scattered like Gemini, or too emotional like Cancer? Here we have Birkenau, and we're going to draw this one out. Birkenau, I think, is the 18th. Is it the 18th rune of the Elder Futhark? Let me look. Yes. So it's a 9 energy. It's about fertility and goddess presence, about flow and the light of spirit. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So many of these runes are bind runes in and of themselves. So here we have Birkenau. We have Isa and Laguz. You can see that. So Isa about alignment and source presence and moving from that state outward. Laguz is about flow, both water element runes. We also have Vunyo, which is fellowship. Vunyo might be earth. I don't remember. But basically we're talking about, Rado, also soul journey. So when you start to think about all of this, and then we have Kenaz in 3 directions, the light of spirit turned inward, informing, and then outward in our interactions with others. So you can see how Birkenau, along with, say, Ingus, which is a sudden expansion of energy. Ingus is a masculine type of a resonance, and Birkenau is a feminine type of a resonance. But what you're talking here is the birth of something new. And that's really what we're talking about here with the pages, something new. But we need to stand in our own authority. We need to move on with our craft and interact with others doing so, right? We've got a 3 energy for the whole thing, so we're talking change. And with Birkenau, it's telling us that the change is for something more positive. Again, when you think fertility, you're also talking acquisition. So maybe you acquire the new job, which then brings you extra income or increased income. Maybe you've been planning for this for some time. Maybe you've been in a training program or what have you. Maybe an artisan type training program. And now you're ready to go out and to make your way. Or perhaps it's just something that's happened already at work where you've put in the time there and now you're ready to move up there. And I say this because we've been really, this has been coming up a lot, both in the astrology and here with the cards, that it could be employment related. Right now things are in such flux right now. People don't always know. They say the economy's good, but it isn't for a lot of people. Only for the really ultra 1% is it really working now. And so on any kind of a reliable level, everyone else is just kind of standing around going, huh, really? Where is it working? For who? So I think that's likely why we're seeing a lot of this now, where having to do with a career focus. Let's do the geomancy room now. Well, where is my stuff? Ah, here. I had all of my geomancy stuff from doing the reading, and I grabbed it all up without thinking. So we have, let's see, we've got 1 for water. Where's fire? 2 for air. And looks like 2 for fire and 2 for earth. So we have Albus, I think. Yep, we have Albus. They're not very good, are they? Oh, that looks a little better. Not really. Oh, well. Okay. Anyway, this is Albus. This month's reading, which is here, actually ended with Albus, as you can see down there. Albus is about wisdom. It's about, as opposed to youth, which are the pages, you've got Albus, which is wisdom. I mean, you think Albus Dumbledore from Harry Potter? Yeah. You're talking about, say, the sage person, an older man. You're talking about white hair. You're talking about a level of wisdom that needs to be the underlying foundation of what we're doing. And so if that's the case, then we're talking about the light of spirit. We found it, of course, in Birkenau, all over the place there, really, with Kenaz everywhere, which is the light of spirit, releasing both inward and outward. So I think that what we're talking about when we talk about the 2 of Swords here, I think that that's governing this whole reading. We have to make a decision now. We have to decide. We're doing a lot of reflecting according to the astrology, if we're following that. We're doing a lot of reflecting right now, trying to figure out who we want to vote for president. That's coming up, or any other positions that we're interested in. We have to figure that out. We have to bring emotions into balance. We have to bring our practical concerns into balance. We have to take a more practical approach to what we're doing and not allow emotions to go so far afield that they inform everything without any real facts being present. That's the issue here with the king and the page. The king is saying, look, son, you can get carried away with your emotions and all of that, but at the same time, if you do that, then you lose a little bit of reason and balance. And maybe you're reacting so emotionally with ego that you don't have time to really consider the other facts of the situation. You don't even see them. And so I think that when you see the King of Swords modifying the Page of Cups, that's, I think, what it's saying. It's trying to give some wise counsel. I think it aligns well with Albus. I think that kings aren't always as centered as they should be. Sometimes they're as reactionary as the page is possibly being here. But the page also denotes undeveloped potential, and we have that on both fronts here, both on the earth element side, the practical side of things, and we have undeveloped potential on the emotion side of things. Both are going to interact with the other, and so we don't want emotions that have gotten away from us to impact us to the point that our security is threatened. And that's what I think we have right now. I think that passions are so high right now. There's a lot of either orness to what's going on. We don't see the other as the other side of self. We see the other as the other and the enemy, and therefore different, therefore someone to fear, someone to tell what to do. You have people that are narrowing their vision right now in terms of candidates, which happens. It's just what happens. But the respect is not there for the other viewpoint. We can all have whatever views we want to. We can vote for whoever we want to. Yes, it has consequences, whatever the outcome is. But in the meantime, if there's no world left after all is said and done to come back to, then what's the point, right? So I think that that's what we're talking about here. We need to be more reflective in terms of how we relate to one another, and we need to start looking in terms of what's realistic, and bringing emotions in line with that. I think that it's easy to get carried away when you feel so passionate about things. But we also have that underlying con that's being played on all of us right now, and we have to be aware of it. You know, we have to let that give us pause and not be so willing to believe what's put in front of us. I think that if there's a message to be had from the Russian involvement in our last election and the way that they played to a willing audience, unfortunately. And we got to look at that. We have to take a hard look at that. They played to a willing audience. There were so many people out there that believed such disgusting things about Hillary that they were willing to set their sights on somebody that isn't even remotely capable of doing this job. And now we have what we have. And people are at such loggerheads, and it's spilled over into, the liberal side of things, where now it's, if you don't vote for Bernie Sanders, then you're a demon. If you don't believe the way Bernie's people want you to believe, you're the devil, you're a demon, you're not worth anything. Again, will there be a world left? Again, we have to understand that someone is going to win, someone is going to lose, and we have to be okay with that. We have to vote, we have to do what we got to do, but in the end, we have to deal with the results. And we can't lose what little we have left when there's so much left to do in terms of making this world the best it can be. And I don't mean the country, I mean the world. The planet is ascending. We're ascending with it, whether we want to or not. We can struggle, or we can raise our frequency and our vibration up and come together in peace and harmony and love with one another, and understand that a shared way forward, shared purpose, is far better than, constantly having this weird tension with one another. It makes no sense. You get nowhere. If in relationships, you literally are in a standoff all the time. We've got to release the hold on that. Drop the resistance and find a way back together. So, in any event, thank you so much for watching. Again, check out the blog. Lots of things up. The correspondences are going to go up here in a bit. As soon as I do them, I'll do them while I'm watching this, because I got to make sure it's okay before I put it up. But again, the decision is involving what we're going to have left, bringing emotions into balance with practical matters and practical concerns. The coronavirus is not a hoax. Taking care of ourselves, washing our hands, cover, coughing into our elbow, whatever we do, right, is what we need to do, not a hoax. The fact that the guy in the Oval Office is bungling the whole thing, not a hoax, not a lie, it's the truth. But that was going to be, so I don't know how we could expect anything else. So, not a hoax. So wash your hands a lot. Keep your hands off your face, because we all do it, right? Rub our eyes, rub our nose, rub our mouth. Can't do that. Don't shake hands. Someone said that their pastor, I think it was a pastor, said at their, I know who it was. It was Connie Schultz, the journalist, Sherrod Brown's wife. They go to church, right? And the pastor says, the reverend says, instead of shaking hands, let's just when we see each other, let's just do this. Hello. Just cover your heart. Put your hand over your heart, as in greeting, like hello. I think that's beautiful. Just absolutely perfect. Hello or hello, however you want to do it. But don't reach out. So not for a while. Anyway, just practical common sense things that make in the page of Pentacles, all right, common sense stuff that we all know what to do, and hunker down if you have to. Just don't go anywhere. Ride it out. So get stuff done around the house. I don't know. Work on correspondence you haven't done in a while. Check in with people on the phone and on online. Don't go there. So anyway, just take normal precautions, and we'll see how it goes. But in any event, thanks for coming by, and come back tomorrow and click subscribe. I'd love you to do that, and check out all the links below. There's some links to my newest book, Shifting Perceptions. That's out. You can click on the link. It'll take you to a books to read page. You can select the bookseller you want to buy it from. And I'd love you to do that. That'd be awesome. And also, Confessions of a Back Porch Herbalist, second edition, is out. You can click the link. It'll take you to that. It's the same sort of books to read page. And you can select where you want to read it and buy it. But that was my first one. It was on healing my rheumatoid arthritis with cannabis, and then later on with traditional herbs, staying in remission. So I'd love you to check that out. I've got the price set really low. It's $2.99. I just want people to read it so that they know that there's other options out there that you can explore if you're chronically ill or seriously ill, that maybe you don't have to be. So check that book out, both of them actually. I'd love you to read them both, and come back tomorrow. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.